Hello and welcome to the Providence College podcast. I'm Michael Hagan from the class of 2015, and I'm joined by producer Chris Judge from the class of 2005. Today we're joined by Dr. Bill Longo, visiting assistant professor of music, who holds a Doctor of Musical Arts degree from the University of Miami, and Clare Krug, a sophomore music technology major from West Boylston, Massachusetts. We'll be discussing Providence College's new program in music technology and production. Dr. Longo, Clare, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So to get us started, what distinguishes the music technology and production program from the traditional Providence College program in music?
Well, the traditional Providence College program in music, and the music technology and production program have a lot of similarities in the core music requirements. Like, we do great study in music theory, music history, musicianship courses like piano skills, aural skills, things like that. And where the BA in music offers a lot of flexibility in pursuing interests within and outside of the music department, the new music technology and production degree has specialized coursework that's aimed towards writing, recording, and producing modern, professional quality music. And the main focus is on creative composition and developing students' individual artistic voices, while simultaneously providing a significant amount of hands-on experience with music hardware, software technology that's used by professionals in the industry.
So Dr. Longo, tell us a little bit about your path to becoming a teacher of music and music technology.
Well, it's been quite a journey for me. Had many different jobs, for sure, in music and in music education, but I'll try and give you the short version. I think I started out as a jazz trumpet player, actually, and I really didn't have any ambition of becoming much more than, say, a private instructor at any level. After my undergraduate degree, I spent a lot of time playing gigs, teaching some private lessons, and really occasionally substitute teaching high school music courses for friends that were in that kind of career path. But a milestone, I guess, for me is during my first round of graduate studies, where I began to focus more on composition and theory, and that's where I think I began to consider the possibility of teaching at higher ed as being a viable path for me. And coincidentally, my first introduction to music technology was also during that time. But in truth, it was kind of limited. I was very proficient in using music notation software to notate my own arrangements and compositions. I recorded a small amount in some home studio sessions, but nothing really serious. But then for me, I think the turning point was economical, where I started having difficulty coming up with funds to spend some time in the studio and record my music, produce my music. So I decided that I'd kind of seek out a path of becoming self-sufficient and learn how to produce recordings of my original music using any techniques that I could find. And really at the time, I started applying to doctoral programs for composition, and I started targeting schools that had an emphasis in technology production and actually a lot of opportunity to record and work in those environments. And then I landed at the University of Miami, and from there it's kind of history. I taught courses as a graduate student there in music technology and theory and composition. And then after I graduated, we were in South Florida for many years, and I was an adjunct at really almost every college in South Florida. And just from there, kind of, finding, myself in a position to do a lot of this type of work where you're in different projects, writing music. I worked in recording studios as an engineer, conducted sessions, and I just gained so much experience working with technology to, create projects from start to finish, from the inception of an idea, songwriting to recording and mixing, and then just to see how everything's working in distribution and things like that. So sorry, that's not the short version, but it kind of hits some points there.
I was once a trumpeter myself, but unfortunately braces were the end of that.
Oh.
Couldn't endure. So what kinds of new possibilities for musical composition and performance has technology opened up since you began your life and career as a musician?
Oh goodness. I think it's funny. Like early on, I think for me, coming to it a little bit later in my career, it's like I feel like I spent a lot of time just catching up to be current for modes of music making. So really, even some things from the late '60s and '70s still feel a little new to me. But I would say this. I'd say for starters, the digital era that we're living in has just opened up incredible possibilities, and it's in the form of access, convenience, and exposure for everyone. And we experience that every day, right? Like from amateurs and professionals, we can make audio video recordings, with cell phones and share them with the world. We can easily broadcast live performances on a variety of platforms from any location. I could run a recording session in one city while a producer across the country or on another continent could listen with very low latency and give notes virtually. The laptops we buy now come with music production software as a standard. And we can make really quality tracks with this. And really, when I was starting out, this wasn't even part of my universe. My world was still very analog. In a way when we're thinking about it. But actually, from like a different perspective, it's like with all these advances, the speed that we can create music is kind of amazing. And then it's also, it turns out to be somewhat of a difficulty sometimes. The demand on creators can be really intense. Project deadlines become a lot shorter. Sometimes if our techniques and other modes of creation aren't in line, we can lead to decrease in quality and creativity as a result. So really, I think for me at least, finding balance, I guess in all things, but musically for sure, tends to be a direct result of like these new possibilities and these new advances for me.
So Claire, what drew you to study music technology?
Originally, I was on a performance-based track. I was doing a musical theater concentration for my music major. And pretty early on, I realized that I wanted more of a diverse experience. While I love performing, I was just looking for something more. So my second semester, freshman year, I took the Intro to Music Tech class, and I didn't know what to expect. I had never really used technology that much before, but it was like so fun. It was fascinating to learn about. And by the end of one semester, I was able to produce one of my own songs, and that was just a crazy concept to me. It felt so cool to be able to do. So after that, I was pretty much hooked. And I looked at the rest of the courses that were required in the major, and there's stuff like songwriting and contemporary arranging and virtual orchestration, and those just all sounded so cool. And they're classes that you can't get outside of the music tech major. So I was like, yep, this is what I want to do.
Claire, you said that part of the appeal of music technology was that it would introduce you to a more diverse array of music. Has studying music and music tech introduced you to any genres or movements in music that you were unfamiliar with before? And is there anything that you've been surprised to discover a taste for?
Well, definitely. One of the things that I love about the program is getting to work with other students and hear what other students produce themselves, and just getting to be in the environment is amazing. And in my classes I've been in, I've only been in two music tech classes, but in both I've gotten to hear the original work of my classmates, which has been so cool because we all have such different styles and we make such different music. And before these classes, I was never really into rap music. I didn't like it very much. I was not my style, but coming in here, a few of the classmates, they rap and they make these great like pop rap tracks, and they're so fun to listen to. And when we get to hear them in like class share day, I'm just jamming out. I'm having the best time, and I'm like, wow, I never thought that I would enjoy this type of music so much. But I do, and I think part of it is getting to kind of witness the whole process of creating the track and seeing it all come together and seeing how much effort it takes. It's just really cool to watch, and it's made me more open to liking that style of music, and I really do enjoy it now.
So you're a sophomore, so you're finishing up Civ. You've no doubt taken at least a core course or two so far. Are there any intersections between the kinds of things that you're learning and the kind of thinking that you're doing in music and music tech, intersections between that and your core studies in the liberal arts?
Yeah, there's a few. I try my best to incorporate music into my course as much as I can because it's just what I love to do. But in Civ this semester, we got to do a unit on classical composers. We got to learn about Bach and Mozart and Beethoven, and that was so much fun to experience in the Civ class rather than in the music building. And also, there's a colloquium class in the Civ department that involves music somehow. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that Dr. Gordon teaches it. She's the head of the music department here, and that's really interesting to me. I hope I could take that class. But other than that, I would say that um, kind of the performance skills that I've learned in the music department over here have helped me a lot in some of my classes where I have to, speak more or present or lead a seminar. And it makes me just have so much comfortability and confidence when I have to speak in front of the class. And like, I'm used to this, I can perform. So, so yeah, that's pretty much it.
So, Dr. Longo, what makes studying music tech at Providence College unique from, say, similar programs at other schools?
That's a really good question. It's really interesting, especially being in the first year of talking with prospective students and things like that. It's a question that I receive a lot, and I usually talk about technology and production programs as sort of being on a spectrum. And there are some programs where you hear the two words technology and production. Well, where are we leaning really as a program? And some schools will be more focused on gaining the vocational skills in technology, and other programs may be leaning a little bit more towards production and creative composition and those sorts of things. And normally what I end up telling prospective students is that we're very much centered on like the creative composition and production side of things. But at the same time, we're developing the vocational skills in every course. So every course that we have in this program is going to require students to have to come to terms with using technology to create. So whether that's using virtual instruments in a DAW, or if it's recording their own acoustic tracks, guitar, bass, their voices, and mixing those things together, in post production, like it's definitely the technology supporting the creation, and I think the other thing that's unique about where we're at right now is just our size too. Like in comparison to larger programs, the smaller class sizes at PC allow for greater, personal attention. And maybe Claire could probably speak to that a little bit, but it's the truth. We spend a lot of time together, and it really, I think gives a little bit more special opportunities, special attentions to like specific projects than maybe you would receive in a larger school.
Claire, how do you feel about the level of faculty attention and support that you get in your music and music tech classes?
I think it's amazing. That's one of the reasons why I'm at this school. I think um, I considered when this program came up, I was like, well, do I want to stay here or do I want to go to a school that has, a more developed program? And I was like, I think I'll get more opportunity here being at such a small school and getting so much like one-on-one time with the professor. I I feel like at some other schools that are larger, you just don't get the same amount of opportunity that entails. And I really think it's a great experience to be able to work so closely with the professors and with the other students, um, and it's just a great collaborative environment.
So, Dr. Longo, one of the classes you teach is songwriting, and I got to observe part of one of your songwriting classes back in October. And I have to say, I had melodies from student composition stuck in my head for days after. Can you tell us a little bit about the class and the kinds of learning and assignments students do in it?
Absolutely, love to. So it just first off, the being the first semester that it's been offered, it's just for me as an instructor, it's exceeded all expectations on many levels. But to get to the nuts and bolts, songwriting is a project based course. Most of the courses that are in the program are project based, and specifically, it's designed to provide students with opportunity to explore and discover, utilize musical elements that create music in a variety of genres. So we spend a great deal of time listening and analyzing popular music. We take a look at the many different ways that we can approach writing music in different styles, and then of course we jump into developing our own music. The focus is really on the writing process. For me, I like to begin with early idea generation for songs. So a lot of our assignments are it's kind of like cumulative assignments where we'll start to develop an original song from like different starting points. How can we develop a song? If we come up with the lyrics first, or maybe we're beginning with the melody that we have. How do we develop this? Or even just a basic rhythmic idea, or a groove, and then after we have this idea, we start to develop a little bit. What techniques can we use to develop it into something more, and always referring back to our favorite recordings for reference, and not just reference in the musical content, but then also, the arrangement, how it's mixed, how the listener perceives it, which brings more of the technical aspects of things. And I think, as Claire said, something that's special about this course and the program in general is that it's flexible. Students are encouraged to develop their individual voice. I like to think that you feel encouraged, Claire. So while we're using the techniques that we're presenting and studying, and it's just like Claire mentioned, our current class, we have students writing in a variety of genres, from pop music, kind of indie folk. I'm a student that's interested in like new wave-ish kind of nostalgia in a way, hip hop and trap music, and I really do. I agree. I think that, and I'm really happy to hear it from Claire that it's just having this flexibility gives the writer an opportunity to hear feedback from an audience that they might not seek out that particular style. So you're getting fresh ears as a writer in sort of that collaborative environment, which is super valuable. And then the exposure too, which you may not feel it today, Claire, but you may start to find some hip hop and rap kind of infiltrating some of your tendencies as a writer too, just from being exposed. So.
So I have to say, if I were registering for courses and I saw a class on songwriting, as cool as it sounds, I'd probably be entirely too intimidated to sign up because, doing and sharing creative work, it takes courage and confidence. So Claire, when you began the course, were you nervous about composing original work to share with peers and professors in class?
I don't think I was that nervous. I was more just super excited. I have been writing songs for maybe 2 years now, and I came from a high school that had no music program at all. So the thought of being able to like have a class where I get to do my creative hobby and have it count towards my class and get like professional, I don't know, education on it was just the coolest idea, and I was so excited to be able to have like songwriting be my assignment or be my homework. It would like give me permission to actually spend my like homework time on my hobby, what I actually love to do. So it was just so exciting to me to be able to take this class.
So I understand you have some original music to share with us today. So could you tell us a little bit about the piece we're about to listen to, and sort of how you're going to introduce it? Are we going to break it down into its parts, listen to the whole thing as a whole? How are we going to do this?
Yeah, so the song that I wrote is called Good Riddance. It is, uh, I guess, pop kind of song. Um, I think, Dr. Longo, correct me if I'm wrong, are we going to listen to a little snippet of a certain spot or no?
I think I do like the idea of coming through and um, listening to a couple of the elements separately, and then just the little short bits, and you can kind of talk us through a little bit. Like, how'd the piece start for you? What came first?
Right, right, right. So, what happened first, I wrote the song in probably early October, but throughout the whole month of September, I had this little melody like going through my head over and over again. And and I thought that it would be a really cool sound if I could use it. And I was like, this sounds like it should come right before a chorus, and it would lead into a chorus really well. And I really thought that I wanted to develop the song more, but with my other classes and other work, I just never really had the time to just write a song. Um, so a month later, when we got the assignment to actually write a whole song, I was like, okay, I'll develop this. So I started off with my little melody that I had, um, and I just kind of built the puzzle pieces around it that I was missing, and it was fun to have it all come together. But
So the first part um, that kind of came to you first was that red flags part, if I'm
yes,
remembering
yes.
correctly. Yeah, should we take a listen just so we can kind of.
Yeah, let's listen.
And they were red flags that I kept looking past, 'cause I wanted to make the good times last. But they were red flags that I should have explored. So many red flags that I ignored 'cause I thought I was adored.
There it is.
There it is.
Okay, so that was the starting point. So that was the melody that was in your head throughout the month of September. That okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. And I knew that I needed some kind of verse to go before it, and I needed a chorus to go after it. So then my job was to, build those. And I did find myself using the techniques that we learned in songwriting to build them, which was really fun to be able to incorporate.
That's really encouraging to hear. I
Yeah, no, I
but I
did.
but I do hear them too myself. They work, folks. No, I was going to ask you because I saw this project kind of in pieces, and then kind of like the way we're listening a little bit right now, and then suddenly when we had a show and share day, Claire drops this project on us that was like, oh, like maybe 90% finished, and really kind of blew us away. Um, but for other people that might not kind of get how it comes together, Claire, when did like the music and the arrangement of it come up? Because I want to play a little bit of your track a little bit. Can I do a little bit of that right now?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Like where did that come from?
I don't know. When I wrote the song, I kind of can hear what I want it to sound like a little bit, and I knew I wanted some kind of like angsty electric guitar sound. So I just kind of played around with it until I found something that kind of fit the vibe I was going for. But I also knew that I wanted a little like a bass intro that was kind of catchy to get into it. And I don't know. I think I feel like once I write a song, I just kind of I I feel the vibe that I'm going for, and then my job is to just go on computer and try to find sounds that match my vision in my head.
I really liked that the pause after that initial bass intro. It was like taking a breath before, jumping right back into it. That was really cool.
Let's see here. There's different sections and things like that. Maybe we could listen to the track and then, kind of maybe chat about it a little bit more. What do you think? Okay, so here's Good Riddance.
Dating you is stable as a carnival ride. It's like being on a roller coaster all of the time. It's crazy and exciting and it's wild and free. But at any given moment you could drop me. So when it finally happened, babe, I wasn't surprised. I was just another victim of your dangerous eyes. I kept trying to brush it off, but I always knew that when you claimed to care for me, it just wasn't true. And they were red flags that I kept looking past, 'cause I wanted to make the good times last. But they were red flags that I should have explored. So many red flags that I ignored 'cause I thought I was adored. Now I see the way you treated me, it wasn't worth the fight. And you should have played your cards right, 'cause I'm over this. And now it's me you're gonna miss. I just got one last thing to say to you, and it's good riddance. How can you expect me to believe that you tried when you think of the amount of things that I let slide? You never called me or replied, lost count of all the times you lied. You only came to see me once and you were high. And these were red flags that I kept looking past, 'cause I wanted to make the good times last. But they were red flags that I should have explored. So many red flags that I ignored 'cause I thought I was adored. Now I see the way you treated me, it wasn't worth the fight. And you should have played your cards right, 'cause I'm over this. And now it's me you're gonna miss. I just got one last thing to say to you, and it's good riddance. And I was colorblind to the bright red flags waving right in front of my eyes. But now the flags are white and they're waving in my hands. I surrender the romance, and now you want a second chance. Now I see the way you treated me, it wasn't worth the fight. And you should have played your cards right, 'cause I'm over this. And now it's me you're gonna miss. I just got one last thing to say to you, and it's good riddance.
Wow, that was great. Awesome job, Claire. It's funny. I'm thinking I should have a better technical, as a former English major, I should have a better technical vocabulary to talk about the lyrics. And I hope Eric Bennett's not listening because, I I did take his prosody course. So my non-technical description, I mean, I'm struck by the way that you map the lyrics onto the melody. I mean, at certain points, it's like you're cramming syllables in, at a particularly angsty portion of the lyrics, but at other points you kind of draw a single word or a single syllable over multiple or many notes. It's a really interesting sound.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it all just came down to what I wanted to say and the amount of room I had to say it. When I wrote the lyrics, I had this big whiteboard. It's right in front of me, actually, in the lab here, and I wrote on the whiteboard all of the words. And I would erase stuff and rewrite stuff, and I'd see how many like measures I had to say what I wanted to say, and after that it just comes down to trying to find some kind of rhythm that would fit what I want to say and sound like it flows. So that's what I tried to do.
Yeah, so Dr. Longo, Claire's composition speaks for itself in a lot of ways. It's really excellent, but are there any specific aspects of her work that you'd like to point out as particularly strong technically, creatively, or both?
Oh, for sure. Definitely both. It really was fascinating for me to see how it came together for her. Claire, at least from my perspective, her process, her creative process going through, she starts with the pad and pencil, to begin with, and everybody has a different way that they want to, begin writing. Some folks start with the computer and producing sounds and things, and Claire, you can see that it was, kind of taking an old school approach, which I'm kind of old school, so I identify with that for sure too. Um, but really, it's kind of some of the things that you're mentioning. Really well constructed as a song melodically, like the text setting, and the flow is really, not to sound too, sterile about it, but like logical. Um, there's never a feeling that even with uh, so much lyric content that we're overwhelmed. I feel like we get the story from start to finish, and it sounds exactly as it should. But then, like harmonically and structurally, Claire did an amazing job. Really just kind of pacing us through. The section in the middle where she has a bridge with just strings that's just different harmony, but then also signified by the change in texture. I actually think for me, my perspective, the arrangement and the timing of the different textures is super well conceived, and then the other decisions that give it musical decisions that give it more of a personal character. I can't help but smile when I hear the end of your phrase, and I hear to it, which to me it is part of the pre-chorus, right? Yeah, and those decisions, they really help the listener identify your individual voice. So in a project for school, Claire manages to go through and develop and inject her personal individual experience and voice to it, and I think that's a real accomplishment for that. And then I could go on and on, so you can stop me for a second. But I also think that something that y'all can't see as a listener, that to me really stands out, and I mentioned this to Claire I think earlier in the semester, um, is that I feel that she's made a really significant jump in her production techniques, even from last spring taking an intro course. Like this is someone that didn't have a ton of experience using technology to create music, and just the attention to detail in the mix, the internet. I'm sorry, internet. Sorry, always the internet. The instrument selection, layering, all these small things kind of take music to a more polished professional level. And it's really one thing to have a lovely song, but to bring it to life, using production techniques is a whole other skill. So congratulations, Claire.
And one thing that I don't want to lose, I mean, technology and production aside, that was you on the vocals, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you sound great.
Oh, thank you so much.
Right. So Claire, you're going to be asked this question a lot in the next couple of years, but what do you aspire to do after graduating from PC?
I just want to work in the music industry in any way that I can. I have a variety of musical interests aside from music technology. I love musical theater. I love performing. I would love to be able to music direct for a musical. I'm also really interested in film direction and film scoring, which might lead me to do a film minor here if time allows. We'll see. But I'll definitely take a class or two. But my main goal as like an undergrad student is to learn as many skills in as many areas of music as I can, like in producing, sound mixing, composing, songwriting, the list goes on, um, along with some theater and performance skills so that when I graduate, I'm qualified to do any job in the industry that I can find. That's kind of my goal.
All right. Well, that sounds like a solid plan that'll serve you really well. Dr. Longo, how do music and music technology studies at Providence College prepare and position students to make a strong entrance to the job market upon graduation?
That's an excellent question. I think, for starters, our program and music technology and production programs in general, I think that it introduces students to the idea that there's many different pathways to a career in the music industry. Coming up as I did, K-12 playing in band, maybe like you playing trumpet, things like that. When you think about careers in music coming from that background, you might be thinking, okay, I can be a performer, or maybe I'll be like my band director, maybe I'll be an educator, but there's so many other things that we can do in the music industry. Music's everywhere, and like Claire said, the amount that you can diversify your skill set can just, first of all, spark your interest in a lot of different areas. So our program, as I said before, trying to find the balance between creative skill building and kind of vocational skill building. You can move on in a variety of directions. If you're more interested in the technology aspects of things, maybe you're more drawn to audio recording, editing, mixing, all the post-production things that go along with making music and media. There's a clear pathway from what we're teaching in the student experience at PC to what is out there in the job market today. If you're more drawn towards creative skills, composition, more production, of course you can pursue a career in songwriting. You may decide that you want to focus on film scoring or media writing, and start to get into those industries a little bit. Another option, of course, is always more school, and graduates from this program could easily progress from this program to a master's program in composition. Like I said before, film scoring, media writing, classical, jazz writing, and start to sort of develop an area that just kind of spark their interest, due to the real diverse nature of what we're doing here.
Well, Dr. Longo, Clare, thank you both for joining us today. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Subscribe to the Providence College podcast in all the usual places, including iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify, as well as your smart speaker. If you like what you hear, please review and share with others. Thanks for listening, and go Friars.